So hi, everyone. My name is Agneti, and I'm the Director of Admissions at ECS. I'm actually thrilled to be able to speak with you today about our school and really help you figure out if ECS is the right school for your daughter. In an ideal world, we would be inviting you to our school where you would get the opportunity to come in person and meet with our students and our faculty members. There is an exceptional environment and vibe at the school that is a little harder to translate in a video, but we'll do our best. We often hear from our parents that are visiting the school that they're really impressed by the confidence of our learners from all levels, whether they talk to students in our junior or middle of or senior school. We are actually very proud to help the girls develop their critical skills, their resilience, which is now more important than ever, and also to help them get their voice so they can be the entrepreneurs of their own future. ECS is actually very small by design. We have about 300 students from kindergarten to grade 11, and it is one of the most valued things in our school. We are a very close community, and everyone feels extremely welcome, and that they are in a safe environment. So, as I mentioned, we hope we will be able to translate all of this in the video. And there are many other reasons why ECS is a great school. And we're here today with two parents who will help you better understand who we are as a school and and what we could offer to your school. So welcome, Leo and Sophie, and thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. So Leo, if you could start maybe by introducing yourself a little bit and help us understand why you chose ECS originally for the school for your daughters.
Yes, my name is Leo. I have two daughters at ECS. My older one is Eleanor, going into grade 8, and my younger one is Adrian, and she's going to grade 4. You lose track when you have your second one, and she's 9 years old. And so we've been at this school for 9 years now, since kindergarten. And originally, I knew the school. I attended a boys' school locally when I was younger, and back then we had intramural activities with other girls' school. We have students or classmates who have sisters. So I originally knew ECS, and we knew that many girls from ECS are serious girls who are intelligent and they comport themselves a certain way. So that was my first introduction to ECS. And then comes, a time when we started to have children and we start to think which school to bring them to. And that's when we started the activity of looking into schools again. And so we visited many schools, and ECS rang a bell. And once we're in ECS, there was something just very magical that we couldn't describe. There's a cohesion in between the students and the faculty. And like your introduction, when you walk down, you really have to walk down the corridor at school during the middle of the day, out of just any day, just walk in, and you will see that there's nothing planned, there's nothing that was scripted, but you see students walking down with confidence, and they're smiling and they're laughing. You don't see anyone who's just walking by themselves on the side of the wall and then having their head down. You see students who are just bubbly. And it's not just the students. You see teachers like that. Teachers are their role models, and then you realize, oh, that's where they come from. And to draw a picture in your head, there's one teacher whom you see him walk down the corridor, and he's dancing down the corridor, and he's singing with the other students. That confidence in oneself just shows. And as a parent, as a prospective parent who first walked into the school, that environment just makes you comfortable. It feels like and unconstrained home, another home away from home, where you want your children to feel confident to express themselves without, having cold eyes or having judgment around them. And that was very important. And that's that magic that I was talking about. Some and in anywhere else, there's especially when a foreign parent who walks in, there's that tenseness, right? There's you see the staff walk down and they walk straighter, and then you see the children just stand on the side of the walls, and they try not to make eye contact so that you engage conversation with them. Whereas my first experience, I still remember, one senior student who was just, engaged us in continued conversation for 20 minutes because there was so much of her life that she wanted to tell us about. So that really attracted us, and that's the environment that we want our children to grow up to be not afraid of expressing themselves, to feel safe in an environment where they could converse and they could express themselves. So, I mean, that in a nutshell is what attracted us the most. It's that, that cohesion in that environment of staff members and students, and that ease of life that they have, that I think would really help them study better or learn better, and to be able to be themselves as they grow up.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. We can really see the passion that you have when you talk about the school. So we really hope that all of our parents have that as well. What about you, Sophie? You also have two daughters, the school. So what made you choose this school?
Yes, I have two. Well, I have my older daughter just graduated from ECS, so she's off to Cégep, and my younger daughter is going into grade 9, which is gulp. It went very fast. But yes, we chose the school. We didn't actually start in kindergarten at ECS. We switched the girls out of our local French immersion school to ECS when they were in grades 2 and 5. So we were looking for smaller class sizes, just better quality of teachers and curriculum. So we made the switch. It's always a difficult decision when you're switching your kids, especially around grade 5. It's a difficult age to join an existing cohort, but never ever look back. Like, best decision we ever made. Like, the girls were included right away. They were more confident within, I kid you not, within the first month of school, they were running for student council and, participating, singing. Like, my younger daughter sang at Art Fest, like her first year, like in front of the whole school. And it was flabbergasting because my girls tend to be kind of shy. So that was why we chose a school. We really like the small class sizes. And I mean, I echo what Leo said. He said it beautifully. There is something palpable when you walk into ECS, when you see the girls like skipping down the halls and laughing together, and they are completely comfortable in their skin. And I think many of these independent schools have excellent reputations. They're, in terms of what they offer from an academic standpoint, they're very comparable. But that magic at ECS, I haven't seen when visiting other schools. It's really, it's something quite unique. So we never look back.
Thank you, Sophie. One thing that you've mentioned, so you haven't started in kindergarten, so you actually switched your school, which for some students and parents can be a little stressful and a difficult decision. Can you talked a little bit about the integration, but could you elaborate a little bit how that process happened, how the girls felt, and if they felt right away that it was the good decision?
Yes. So when, I actually was quite late in the process of that school year that I started looking at alternatives. So we visited, I believe, the school in, maybe end of April or May of the previous school year. So we visited as a family, and it was an amazing long tour, very detailed. Like, we got to speak to girls, we got to see girls in action. We felt that vibe, that ECS vibe right away. And then the girls were asked to come in for student for a day, which, let me tell you, was really nerve-wracking for them. They didn't know any of the girls, and the idea of going to another school and then, having lunch there and going into the class they were quite nervous, as was I. And by the end of the day, when I picked them up, like, I was really pleasantly surprised. They had a really good day. The school, I think, does this beautifully. They pair the potential new girl with a buddy who sort of takes care of them during the day, shows them the ropes, accompanies them. So that day was a success. We had looked at other schools, and both my girls, who have very different personalities, both said ECS is where we want to go. So the decision was kind of made then and there, I think, from their perspective. And then that type of integration bleeds into the first day of school. So, now with the pandemic, it's a little bit different, but in normal times, we were able to bring our children to their classroom the first day of school, and there's parents there, and there's a festive atmosphere, and the teachers at the door welcoming you by name. So it was really warm, and both girls, like, some of the girls from their visit recognized them and said, "Oh, Kate, it's you. Hi, welcome. Come sit with me." So it was as a parent, when you are very nervous when you're that first day of school, and when your children are switching, and it was beautiful. It really went very, very well.
Amazing. Leo, can you talk a little bit about the impact that ECS have on your girl? Obviously, they're still in school, they haven't graduated yet, but from what you see as of now since they started, what are the biggest impact?
I think the biggest impact, there's probably a bigger impact on my older one than it is for my younger one, because my older one has experienced the school for longer, and she has experienced changes in the school throughout the many years as well. But I think in general, with both of them, I would say that they are more comfortable. They are more confident in speaking up, and that's something I don't see necessarily outside the school. I think they're still very young in terms of their life experience. So, for example, sometimes when we go outside, when we go to a restaurant or we go meet other people, I would ask them to get me something, or to speak up about something that they don't like, sitting down at a cafe or at a restaurant, but they would be reluctant to voice those opinions. But I know that both of them are confident to speak up in their class, to speak up in the school environment about something that they're not comfortable with, or about something that they would like to see change. And that tells me a lot, because it's something that was not prompted by me. It's something and somewhere in which they feel that they have a control, that they can initiate an action to change something for good. And so that, I think, it's a unique product of the school's teaching, the school's environment, of the teachers enabling them to speak up, allowing them the resources to act upon something that they want to change. And this goes back to the entrepreneurship that you were talking about earlier, where our school does have a program that helps our students learn how to see and spot something of need, and to devise a plan to change, and to seek out resources and help to have and make those changes. So I think that's a valuable impact on our children. There's also the French language, of which I see them communicate with. That's not a language that we speak at home. It is neither a language that we listen to on radio or TV, or songs that we sing. So being able to communicate in French that way, I think it's it takes a big effort in terms of the school community to allow them to have, first of all, the basics to communicate that way, and then also to have the culture to communicate that way. And that, I know, are two things that came only directly from ECS and not from us as parents. So that, I think, it's a big impact, and it will change their life down the road. Post ECS, this is something that they will probably appreciate more after they graduate from ECS, and benefit from. So that to me is one big impact.
Amazing. What about you, Sophie? Since you already have one of your daughter who recently graduated, from the time that she started to all the way that she is now, would you agree that the school has had a positive impact on her?
Yes, definitely. As I mentioned, both girls came in pretty shy. They had been in a co-ed school, and it had gone well, but they were often described as quiet by their teachers. And almost within the first few weeks, they noticed a palpable difference. Like, she goes, "Oh, the teachers aren't yelling here. Nobody gets disciplined. Nobody's getting, punished or demerit points." Or like, it was such a nurturing environment. And I think the all girls environment really does contribute to that. So I would say she really found her voice. I agree with Leo, like she's able to express her opinion. She was able to advocate for herself with her teachers, even with the administration at times. She was able to take on leadership positions. She was a prefect last year, which is a grade 11 student leadership role. So she had to work with younger students to help motivate them, organize activities, help the school run activities. So, she's really, and I have to say, as a little parentheses, last year, her graduating year, in the pandemic, had the potential to be a disaster, right? Like, they were on site, off site, in bubbles. Like, it was not the graduating year that she had hoped for and that we had hoped for her. But ECS went so above and beyond to make that year special in innovative ways, finding new traditions, adapting old traditions, because there's so many traditions at ECS that really make it feel like a family. And they did a beautiful job at really making that year special for them, despite the very challenging circumstances. So she left, I think, with amazing memories of her friends. She made lifelong friendships, for sure, and her teachers. And I think she's very well prepared for the next step in health sciences at Dawson.
Amazing. Let's hope that this year will be a little bit different with COVID, and that all the students will be able to have a more regular year. Okay, now a little different type of question. So let's be a little bit creative here. If you could look at the school and put it as a one person, who do you think ECS would be?
Mm-hmm.
So Leo or Sophie, whoever has the first inspiration can go first.
First, I can't think of a person right now, but it might come. But I could describe the characteristic of that person. I would think if ECS were a person, it would be someone who is very transparent, who is open. So open to criticism, open to praises, is someone who is trustworthy, who is a role model. It could be many great people, or it could be just someone who is who is there to and who has a heart to nurture young people. I don't think it necessarily has to be, a great persona in our world. It doesn't have to be a Mother Teresa or, there are many people who play that role in our society. And I found it in ECS where we're a community and it's made up of so many different people who take part in making ECS a big persona. Somebody who really cares about the students. I can personally say that I have days where, I email a teacher at midnight and I actually receive an email back at 12:55. And the next morning, teacher just add another email because she forgot to add something, and that was at 5:30. You know, it doesn't look like much to many people, but it is a lot. I mean, it's a teacher who cares, who take the time out of her own sleep, who makes sure that the parents feel at ease and the parents don't have any questions, and that the children's answered questions are all answered. So I think it's all of that together, and all of the effort that the staff and the administration and the teachers put together to make sure that they really have all that they want to have. That when they raise their hands or when they raise a concern and they want resources, all those resources are available to them. Although we are in an environment that has limited resources, but still they will find it for them. So all the opportunities are for them willing to take, and they've been constantly told to take it. They constantly encourage the students to go and take what they need. So I think ECS would be a most caring grandma. It would be a nonna, I would say, and of whom will always be proud of, their offsprings, the children who come out of this school, and I see it. I really do see it in this school.
Amazing. So Sophie, you had a little bit more time to reflect. Did you be able to find that one person that characterized the school, or?
Like an actual person, I'm having a hard time as well, but I agree. Like somebody who's warm, nurturing, definitely comes to mind right away. There's also like an innovative side, a curious side to this person, right? Always looking at the latest research in education and the entrepreneurial platform. How can we best prepare the girls for this like rapidly changing world that they're going to be graduating into? And the job market that they will be facing is infinitely different than the one we faced when we graduated. So I feel like ECS would be a very forward-looking person, always innovating, a real entrepreneur. Yeah.
Amazing. I cannot agree more with everything that you just said. A lot of times, if you go, I can't speak for a lot, like in schools or companies, you'll walk in the building, you'll see a sign with all the values, and it's there, it's looking beautiful, but not often. I find personally that the actual organization will live it as much. I feel like at ECS, we have our 5 values, and from day one, it is something that is really integrated in the school life, in the curriculum everywhere. Could you talk a little bit about those values and how you feel they actually have an impact in your child's education?
Well, I would agree with you that, you often see those values in companies and you really wonder if they're anything more than something that's on a website, to make it look nice. But even from hearing from my own girls, they were very aware of the values because they were constantly highlighted and discussed. especially by our head of school. I'd say she's very passionate about the values, and I think she elaborates on them at the weekly assemblies that the girls have. And it really evolved from their younger days in junior school, where the understanding of these values is pretty rudimentary, and they would have sort of fun little activities to show how you can implement these values in your everyday school life. And then with the older girls, like the senior school girls, really making them reflect on, what does this mean in terms of you as a person in our community, in our world, and how do you contribute to this community? And I think making those values known to the girls and making them accountable, which I think accountability is one of the values, but making them accountable for, like, this is, you're an ECS girl, and this is what is expected of you, and we're going to give you the tools to be able to really live those values.
Absolutely. So just, I should have maybe mentioned them, but in terms of the values, we have 5 that we really talked about with the girls. So we were talking about collaboration, courage, awareness, accountability, as you were saying, and integrity as well. So Leo, would you have the same experience with your daughters?
I do. I agree with everything that Sophie said. And there's also the motto of our school. It's non urbis sed urbi, in Latin, meaning that it's not only just us locally, but it's from locally we care for the world as it is. And I see that in our students. And there are many things that they do and even some of them are intricate things, but one experience that I remember was when Adrian was in kindergarten several years back. They want to reinforce the idea of recycling, about how locally in a classroom or at home or outside in our local community, what actions we can change to help the future world even be better. And one of the visual impact that they made for the children was to create a long metal mesh of a whale, of a fish, and the kindergarten children designed big eyes that stuck on the fish, and it was hung on top in the corridor, and inside the metal mesh, there's a mouth in the front, and they keep throwing plastic bottles or plastic things inside to signify how every time you find a plastic bottle or straw or something that does not disintegrate, ends up in the stomach of this big whale in our world. And so visually, it's something that impacted the children a lot. And as a parent, and when we host prospective parents every year for open house, I see parents that look at the art as an art installation, whereas I see from my children that they actually act upon it. So every week, the kindergarten kids would roam around the school, and they would run into the offices of the financial office downstairs, and they would look into their garbage and go, "Ha! I found a plastic can." And so, it was not an exercise to shame the teachers or shame other people from doing those transgressions, but it was more of an awareness for the children. So we do act very locally and encourage the girls to go out and change their lifestyle. And that's one of the things that I see, and that our school, it's this part of a school value that is upheld and that is encouraged to be reflected upon outside of the school.
Amazing. I remember seeing that when I first started at the school, and I was really impressed as well. It caught my attention, and the girls came actually to explain me what it was, and they were so proud of their project, and it was beautiful to see.
Yeah, so there's that creativity that that the school has put in, that innovation in terms of teaching. I mean, it's a teachable moment, but do you just say, hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that, or do you let them create a project and let them visually seize it and then have it etched into their head and then have them act upon it? And I find that to be quite an innovative way of instilling values, of making sure that all the students share the same school values and that they practice and that they act upon it as well.
Amazing. And this is exactly why we have our internal platform, right? It's to be able for the students to take that theory that they're learning in classes and put it in practice. Perfect. Obviously we are, and we've mentioned it, we are a school that has high academic rigor. The girls work really, really hard. But as a school, I think we play hard as well. There's a lot of different events, a lot of different opportunities for the girls to have fun and to organize things. As parent, and a lot of times we also include the parents and the larger community into our activities. So could you maybe talk about one event that happens throughout the year and why you think it's important for the students, and what's your impression on it?
Hard to pick one.
You can pick multiple if you want.
Well, I guess from a parent's perspective, both Leo and I have been involved. We've been volunteering at the school for some time, and we do have a very close relationship with the school, with the advancement department, and we do plan community events that always have the goal of bringing our community together and making sure that families know each other, that the girls know their friends' parents and vice versa. One of the events that's near and dear to my heart, because we implemented it a few years ago for the first time, and it's become an ECS tradition, is the Winter Ball. And Winter Ball is an occasion for the fathers who are, unlike Leo, who's a very involved parent, often it is the moms that we see volunteering at the school. So we wanted an occasion that was really unique to the dads or uncles or grandfathers and the girls, without the moms involved. And we came up with this Winter Ball, which is something that's very anticipated by the girls, because it's a formal evening where they get to dress up and they get to go to a fancy ballroom, and there's a DJ and a sit-down dinner, and they go with their dad. And we started off about 3 years ago, and it was quite small and intimate and fun. And within 2 years, we had doubled the attendance, and the junior schools can't wait until it's their turn to go to Winter Ball. It's a really big thing. And having been on the organist, because I'm usually there to greet the guests, and it is so special to see the girls with their dads, and the dads get to them. And anyway, it's like I said, it's very special to me, and it's a real ECS tradition that's become beloved, I think, as much by the dads as the girls. And we've got teachers there too, and it's just such a fun event.
Amazing. What about you, Leo?
I'd add to that imagery that Sophie was describing. I don't think you would, in any party, any event, I beg you to differ. I beg to differ, because there is no party where you would see others of any height and size and composure that would all get up to the dance floor and all danced with the other 100 students who were there. It's quite amazing. It's an event where you would just lose your guard, and you would just put yourself there just to enjoy the evening. So it's something that is quite special. I agree, and it was very memorable, and it brings not only the father and the daughter closer together, but also with other fathers and other girls as well. And I think it's quite unique. besides from the winter ball, we do have many other opportunities for parents to gather as a community and to share, our thoughts, our concerns. Sometimes there's also activities where we could share a laugh and share a cheer together. And then I'm thinking about all the sports events that we have. And sometimes it's not just a competition that we go and watch our children compete, but it's sometimes the school is open in a sense where parents are encouraged to even come in and see them practice in the gym. And so in those moments, parents are encouraged and they sit together and then they share their family stories. They share their common concerns. Sometimes not sometimes, but every year we do have that, except for during the COVID period, where we have something like a town hall meeting with the head of school and with the school directors. So all the parents have an opportunity to sit down together and then just talk about our school, talk about our class, talk about our students, and in our grade in particular, because it's age sensitive, where different grades and different age students have different changes and concerns. And so we do have opportunities like that where we participate and we get to listen to what other people are going through as well. And that sort of make us closer, knowing that we're not the only one who are experiencing a certain hardship or a certain challenge or certain stress during the school year. And I think those are as important as the entertainment part, as the coffee meetings that we have sometimes. So I think it's important to have that kind of balance to sometimes be very serious, sometimes be free to commingle. So those, and we do have many opportunities like that, and I find them the most valuable. Not many parents are as fortunate as I am, where I have a little bit more time to spend and be able to step into the school and get to know the faculty members and get to know other parents, to have a feeling of what other parents are like and other families are like. Not everybody has that opportunity to do that, and I feel fortunate to be able to do that. But so that's why I think those events that we organize at school allow for a more formal opportunity for parents to make a special date or free up their agenda so that they can participate and have a glimpse, at least a glimpse or an experience of what their children are going through. And I think the openness of the school to have those events is very important, and it's commendable, because sometimes it's not, and I realize that sometimes it's not easy to be open, because you're not only open to praises, you're open to constant criticism, you're open to pressure from some parents who wants change. But when change comes, the wanting of change coming from every different direction, it poses some kind of logistics problem for the school to act upon as well. So having that courage to open their doors and open to criticism and open to praise, I think it's commendable.
Thank you so much for both of sharing that. And I think it truly speaks to the fact that we are a community, a family. I always refer ECS as a family, and perhaps with the size that we are, with having 300 students, it allows us to have those moments and to be able to, even for the parents, to get to know each other and to feel safe. And so thank you for sharing that. Now, if we could have your daughters here today with us, how do you think they would describe their experience? Maybe like in a nutshell, like how do you think they would describe their experience at ECS from their voice?
Okay, I'll tell you that my younger daughter, Adrian, would say that the lunch is bad. Lunch is bad. I don't like it. But full disclosure, my younger one doesn't like to eat. She likes things that taste plain. So her favorite food is just plain bread and sushi because they taste like nothing. So I don't take that with I take that with a grain of salt. And to be more serious, I think we just had a conversation with my old daughter Eleanor, and she did mention that if she were to think about ECS, she would think that ECS is providing her classmates with the resources that they all need, and she thinks that that is very fair. She realizes that many levels of aptitude and that different levels of educational needs, and that none of them were left out, that all of them received the right resources for the right type of training so that they could all reach the same goal at the same time. And to her, her character is all about being fair to everybody. And so to her, this is very important. And this is something that she is the first thing that she mentions when we talk about her school. And so I find that to be quite special.
It's beautiful to hear that a young woman or girl would see that. And I would expect to hear that from an adult, of talking about fairness and ensuring that students who have learning challenges may be able to, have additional support. And at ECS, we have our Learning to Learn program, which is the goal of really ensuring that each girl has the tools they need, because in the end, no one learns in the same way and every girl is unique. But I find it really beautiful that someone that age would see that and value that. So thank you for sharing.
You see that there's something special about that, because you know that these girls are competitive. You know that they want to achieve a certain goal in their mind, especially approaching this age. Many of them start to think about what they want to be and how they want to be when they grow up. But to be competitive, but at the same time still caring about your competition is hard to have. I mean, it's something that I think the school has nurtured in them, that these are your lifelong companions. You can compete with your friends, but they're nonetheless still your friends, and they care about them. And that, to instill that fairness in the competition is a trait that is so valuable. I can imagine when these girls leave the school and they become, captains of industries, you can play rough and you can play nasty, but you could always be fair as well and be competitive, and both of you will reach the same height. So seeing that in our girls, I think it's really one of the most valuable gift that our school has given to our children.
Beautifully said. Thank you.
How would my girls describe the school? I mean, I think, like Leo, I think children often will look at some specific, oh, I like this teacher, or I think what's behind that sentiment is really family. I really do feel that deep down, they see it as an extension to our family. These girls are their sisters, and these are small class sizes. You need to learn to work and get along with these girls because you're with them all the time. And I think that's been a real blessing compared to sort of my high school had about 150 girls per grade. My girls have about 30, 35. So you have to, just like a family, you have to learn to work with these people and collaborate with them and deal with your conflicts if they arise and problem solve together. And I do feel that results in a real sense of community and personal responsibility. And I think that that's the way that they will remember the school as well. Like when they leave, as these are my sisters. There's a saying, I think that was quoted by one of the old heads of school, which is once an ECS girl, always an ECS girl. And that really resonates for me because having been at an all-girls school myself, a much larger one, once we left the school, that was it. You know, like it was see ya, bye. I think they contacted me like 10, 15 years later to start asking for money, but it was like, you've been here, see ya. And that's really not the case at ECS. You really feel like you're still connected. I see it in my older daughter, who's a very recent graduate of ECS, and there's still that connection. There's still that that feeling that even though you're no longer at the school, you're part of that family, and that they will support you and that they will be there for you your whole life. I think that's huge. It's they're known, you know, everyone in the halls knows your name. And that to me is huge. You can't put a price tag on that.
Amazing. So I know I asked a lot of questions. Is there maybe one last final word or something that I didn't talk to that you think would be important to share with other parents who are making the difficult decision of finding the best school for their child, that you would like to share?
Give it some thought here. I think it's a very difficult decision to choose a school. It's hard, I think, more on the parents and the kids often, but really listen to your gut. When you visit a school, look at the girls. How do they seem happy? Do they seem comfortable? What's the environment of the school? And you know, don't be afraid to ask, like Leo did on his first tour, ask some girls about their experience. And certainly if you do visit ECS, that will be very much possible. You will be able to speak to the girls and they will be very candid in their answers. And I think you'll be, as visiting parents, I think they'll be very impressed with how eloquent and confident the girls are when they interact with adults. It's a wonderful school. It's really a family. If you're looking for a sense of community also for the parents, I was a little bit apprehensive about that joining ECS. I'll have to be honest. At the price tags of many of these schools, I felt like maybe I was going into a very elitist, exclusive environment that may not be welcoming. And I have to say, nothing can be further than the truth. It's really such a sense of community. Everybody knows each other. Everybody helps each other out. We've had, I know we've had some parents in the past few years who've had, you know, tragedies or who've been very sick, and the rallying around them by other families and the community has been something I've never seen before. Like, it really, truly is a family. So if that's what you're looking for in a school, I think I would look no further. Like, I don't think that really exists in that many places. I think it's very special.
Amazing. Thank you, Sophie. Leo, would you add anything or?
I do agree with Sophie in the sense that there's that community amongst the families, and that also is extended to the faculty members and the teachers as well. I think some people might be apprehensive because, you know, they might think that it's a small environment and it's an elitist school because it costs a certain amount of money to enroll in a school like ours. But that tuition goes very, very far. That tuition goes to supply resources that are needed for every opportunity that is awaiting for them, for the students. And those opportunities include opportunities that are extended to faculty members as well. I see over the years the training that the school has provided to every single faculty member, that they are they're very up to the latest studies and the latest innovation in teaching, in academia. That tuition also goes to hiring specialists. Pre-COVID, we used to host seminars with very prominent specialists. One that came in mind was a psychiatrist called Dr. Deek, who came in and explained to all the parents in the symposium of how girls' brains work and why we have this sort of stress and this sort of problems, and it all arises from our physiology, and how do we act upon those? So that explains that tuition fees. And going back to this idea is because I think once we're in the school, I don't think any students or any family has ever looked down upon any other people or looked different upon any other people. We all, when we're all together, I think our only common concern is the well-being. It's really all about them getting the best that they can get and getting all the opportunities that are available to them. Whereas in a bigger institution, I would think that maybe those resources might have to be shared in some other ways. So I think we have created many opportunities this way for our children at the school. And knowing that the faculty members also share those opportunities as well, gives us a very nice feeling that everyone are growing together at the same rate, and everyone are benefiting from all of these resources that we have pulled together to provide, and that nobody is different. I mean, everybody is different in their own way, but nobody is different in terms of that sharing of those opportunities, of those resources. And I think we are unique in that sense. And you really have to live past the COVID time and really come in and walk into the school and feel the magic that is in the corridor. Go into the classrooms and peek and look at the way they are engaged. Look at how the students are most competitive, but also very sharing and very caring. Look at the faculty members, and I've never seen any of them having to punish somebody because they are self-aware. They know that what their limitations are and what they should do and what they can't do. And so, once you go through the school that way, once you look at the efficiency of how things work, it's something that is so special that I haven't seen from any other schools. So I don't have a girl who's graduated yet, so I'm looking forward to see how well she'll be prepared going into this world where it's constantly changing, and I know that she is prepared in this way, where right now she has the opportunity to change things within our school. She has the opportunity to voice the needs that she have, and hopefully, when she gets out of the school, that she'll be well prepared and she will remember the lessons and the culture that she has learned from what we have in front of them.
Amazing. Thank you so much to both of you, Leo and Sophie, for taking the time to talk to other parents and sharing your journey at ECS and your kids' journey at ECS. I hope everyone see that it's a really special one. We try to talk as much as possible and answer many questions, but obviously, I do recognize that there might be other questions or concerns that you may have as a parent. So please feel free to reach out to us directly. We would be happy to schedule a phone call, invite you into school if we are allowed to, if we can. But we are always there for you. And thank you very much for your time, and have an excellent day, everyone.